The Tom Woods Show, episode 846, bonus episode.
Prepare to set fire to the index card of allowable opinion. Your daily dose of liberty education starts here. The Tom Woods Show.
Folks, just about everyone would like to earn an additional income stream or even their entire income online. Well, I've been doing it for years and years, and I can teach you exactly what I do. I can show you all different ways to monetize a website, whether linking to affiliate products that are related to what you talk about, or starting your own podcast, or self-publishing a book, or blogging. I can take you step by step through all of it in my free ebook, 5 Paths to an Online Income. Check it out at pathstoincome.com or text the word PROSPER to the number 44222. Hey everybody, Tom Woods here. I'm a little bit under the weather, actually. And I've become under the weather between the moment 2 days ago when I recorded this interview with Nathan Bond and now. So I'm going to sound a little bit rough and scratchy. And then as soon as I start talking to the guest, it sounds like I'm instantly cured. And I'd like to say that's because you talked to Nathan Bond and all kinds of wonderful things happened. But it's really because I recorded it before I got, I think, just a mild cold. And so I'm using my usual zinc drops that work really well for me. Anyway, that doesn't matter. That has nothing to do with why I'm talking to you today. I've got to know Nathan Bond recently, just over the past couple of months, and I realized what an interesting story he has. This guy is, in addition to being a great guy all around, very smart and informed and knowledgeable, somebody you could talk to at dinner forever, he is also the co-founder and CEO of Rifle Paper Company, which we'll talk about Rifle Paper Company and its products, obviously, through much of this episode, but he has won recognition and plaudits from all over the place. He was named a couple of years ago to Forbes' 30 Under 30, so he's a young guy. His company has had tremendous success. It's gone from zero to many, many, many millions of dollars in revenue per year. They're just having success after success. And I thought, rather than be like a creepy stalker type who does nothing but sit around and ask him questions about his business, I thought, well, if I get him on the show, I'm allowed to be a creepy stalker type because I'm an interviewer. So when I want to have a conversation with somebody I'm not sure I could otherwise get away with, I invite that person onto the show, and you can listen into this conversation with me. I want to know how somebody goes about doing something like this. Nathan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
You know, as soon as I got to know you and we had dinner a couple times and talked, I realized two things. Number one, I could talk to you for probably 58 hours at a time, nonstop. Secondly, I got to get you on the show. So I haven't done the first one, but here we are doing the second one. And in the second one, we're not going to also do the first one. We'll have you on regular episode time. But what's funny was you're going to see where this is going. I Googled your name. And sometimes people say that to me, and they have this horrified face about what they found. They thought that I was this mild-mannered next-door neighbor, and I Googled you, right? Well, I Googled you, and of course it's all great, sweet kid, everybody loves him. But, man, you've been featured everywhere. I mean, you and your company have been featured everywhere. Everybody loves you. You have an intense social media following, and you've done all this you had achieved it already several years ago, but you started up just in late 2009. I almost don't even know. And then you're saying to me, I'm not sure what we could talk about. I'm going to smack you in the face. Are you kidding me? So here's where we're gonna start. Yours is the Rifle Paper Company, and it got started in 2009. And what was the precipitating factor that led to the creation of the company? I didn't even know this till I read it. And this is, by the way, he's so non-boastful. He has not spent all the times we've been together talking about, well, when I started my company, we did blah, blah, blah. I didn't even know about this. I had to find it myself. All right, go ahead.
Well, first off, I want to say it's my wife that everybody loves. I'm just sort of, getting a lot of credit for how amazing she is.
Well, but, we love you. All right, I'll say that. Heather and I love you. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Tom. So, how we got started, I was actually a full-time musician, playing in a rock band, traveling around in a 15-passenger van that smelled like a wet dog, with like 7 other guys. And my wife was doing freelance illustration and design work. She started doing wedding invitations for clients, and the blog world got excited about them. And she started picking up more clients, and she wasn't doing a great job of keeping up with it all because it was sort of, overwhelming. So I offered to help her. So I started emailing people pretending I was her for a while, just to help her out. And as that kind of developed, we started having this idea to start a brand. We realized that there was too much demand for her work, for her to keep doing custom work. So how do we duplicate this? So, thought about how to do it in mass production, thought greeting cards, stationery was an interesting angle. Anna visited some trade shows. She kind of got she came back really excited. She's like, there's nothing like us. There's nothing that looks like this. This is going to be awesome. This is going to work. And about 6 months later, we started the company. So it was very fast. And I abandoned my my music career, if you want to call it that, to start the brand with her. So that was sort of the kickoff.
Now, you started off with some stationary products. Now you've expanded beyond that. We'll get to that in a minute, if you have advice as to how and when to expand, because I think sometimes people get their first touch of success, they want to expand into everything in the world. So we'll get to that in a minute. I saw her on the Today Show, for heaven's sake, a video clip. Again, we're looking at each other like, what? Who are these people? We were just having dinner with. Who the heck are these people? Very, very interesting stuff. So at what point, how early on in the process did you say, whoa, we have a major winner on our hands? Because you went from like 10,000 to 12.5 million pretty fast.
Yeah.
So how and it's a husband and wife team. It's the two of you guys, and obviously not the two of you alone, but the core of it is the two of you. But anyway, when did this strike you as, okay, this is definitely a winner? Now we just got to build it up.
Well, I think we were really excited, even before we started. We kind of knew right away that we'd get some traction because there was a lot of enthusiasm about the brand even before it launched. Just through sort of the freelance work Anna was doing was getting some media press attention and so forth. And we launched our first, opening day on Design Sponge, which is this really big design blog. So I got to say, really early on, I knew we had something that was going to be great. But of course, we had no idea it would, explode at the rate it did. I mean, that was sort of, that just... I don't know if there was really a moment where we had understood where it was going, because it just kept it's like the rocket ship took off and just kept going, So it was every 3 or 4 months, you're essentially reinventing your company, hiring all these new positions, trying to figure out. So it was really steady. I don't think there was a particular moment that stands out.
What would you say is a mistake you made somewhere along the line that if there's one thing you could take back, it would be this?
Well, I mean, I go to our launch, really, probably. So we had never done any manufacturing before. We had no experience in manufacturing. So we were sort of naive in thinking that, you let the factory know what you need, and then it arrives, on time, and it arrives how you imagine it will arrive. But that's exactly how manufacturing doesn't work. It essentially, you really have to work with the factories and get all the nuance right, and really know the process really well, almost as well as they do, work hand in hand. So we launched our brand on the day our product was arriving for the factory for the first time, thinking that was normal. And of course, it all arrived completely, unusable.
Oh, no.
That's right.
That's awful.
That's right. And we couldn't use any of it. So we'd already launched the website. I mean, literally, we received the product the afternoon. The website had launched that morning. So we've taken all these orders to a lot of fanfare, but can't deliver any of them, which was extremely stressful. So, we're trying to figure out how we're going to remedy it. We're going back to the printer. Hey, we need to get this right. Of course, they don't get it right the second time. We're just a couple of kids. They're not taking us that seriously. They're not really working with us, you might say, to help us get this right. And, there's a ringtone on my phone that I like. If I hear this certain ringtone, I have PTSD back to these 2 weeks, because it was a sort of panic of not knowing how to solve this problem, not knowing where to go, and having all these customers with all these orders piling up, trying to email each one of them personally and apologize. Lots of people were angry. It's a horrible way to start. But we eventually, we went through multiple production runs with that same printer. We eventually found another printer and just said, we can't work with these people anymore. Found another shop down the street that offered to do it. They did it wrong too, but we were able to fix it by hand erasing. There were print streaks and sort of offsetting on all the cards. were literally sitting in our office with erasers, hardly breathing because all the eraser shavings in the air. I mean, it was really a wild thing, and just it hand erased everything and then shipped it to our people. It still didn't look that good, but it was enough to get us by. And then eventually we figured out how to manufacture stuff. But it was we just didn't have a mentor or any we didn't have anybody in our circle that knew how to do any of the stuff we were doing. So we were just guessing at everything. And it's part of our naivety is part of our success, right? We just dove in, we figured it out as we went, we learned from our mistakes, and quickly learned what we didn't know. But if I were to do it differently, I would say get a mentor and know more about what you're doing in advance.
Sure.
To avoid nightmares for the rest of your life.
You fairly quickly you expanded in two ways. You expanded in the sense that you went from being exclusively online to then actually a storefront model in addition to online, and then secondly, you expanded the kinds of products. How do you time that, or how do you know that expansion is what to do, or maybe we should just really double down on the existing things, or maybe we'll get ourselves off track if we expand too much?
That's an excellent question. So, I think we just listen to our customers is the main thing. So we kind of are trying to pay attention to what they're telling us they want. It was always a plan right at the beginning to launch with the website and then push to wholesale a little later. And the reason for that is we wanted to make sure we were prepared for the onslaught of wholesale, because we knew there would be a lot of retailers that would want to pick us up very early on. So basically, the website was a way for us to kind of get our feet wet and kind of grow into it. So when we launched, it was always a plan to launch wholesale 6 months later. That's what we did. And then as far as, especially with what new formats to get into and what categories to do, I think a lot of that is just kind of, asking your customers what they want and having conversations with your retailers, with your direct people. And, I don't know, just kind of listen to the market, let the market give you feedback. What are you selling? What are you making money with? Double down on those things. What isn't working? Get rid of those things. What do people want you to do? That kind of thing.
Well, speaking of listen to your customers, I was telling you before we went on that I checked out your Facebook page, which apparently is only 1/6 as large as your Instagram following. But I'll tell you, as an oldster, I don't do the Instagram the way you youngsters do. I just stick to the big two, basically. But all the same, what I did see of your Facebook page is just filled with raving fans. Oh, we can't wait for this product or that product. Or you post a picture and people say, oh, I'm hysterical for this. I need to have this. Or why don't you do this or that? Or people said, gee, this photograph looks like it might be a shoelace. Any chance we'll get rifle shoes? I mean, holy cow. So part of me wants to know, how do you build up? There are companies that would kill to have that kind of a social media following. But given how desperate they are for your products, I guess it's partly, but not exclusively, a function of just having good products.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first thing. We spend a ton of time, thinking about what we're doing, why we're doing it. Does it fit into our our brand strategy overall? Is it random and out of place, or does it, fit in with our existing customers, but also giving them something new that they can be excited about? I mean, it's all about, building that sort of ethos, building almost a world. But also, anything you buy from us, the attention to detail is going to be excellent. We're obsessed with quality. We want, it's not just slapping our patterns. I mean, we're a design-based brand, so the look and the feel and the patterns are what really, what we're doing. But we don't just slap our patterns on anything. That's, to be frank, that's what a lot of brands do in our space. A lot of designer brands, they will just kind of enter into a space, do a billion formats and slap their patterns on everything. And then, it kind of, it works, they make some money, but it has a tendency to fizzle out or burn people out. When we get into a new category, we want it to be as if that's the only category we do. It's the only category we're ever going to do. We take it that seriously. So we don't just dive into a million things at once. We really want to get the things we're into right. And also our partnerships. So, you mentioned the shoelace. I don't think I'm allowed to say yet who that is, but that's going to be a partnership with a really awesome footwear brand. And it's a really exciting kind of brand to be working with. But it's all about finding that right pattern. Do our customers overlap with their customers? Is there going to be a natural sort of marriage between the, so, it's all about thinking of of why you're doing it. And, I don't know. I think that as a result, our customers trust us. They have a loyalty. They know that when we do something, it's going to be worth their time. I think that's a big part of it.
I see that, like many companies, you have an email list, and I'm sorry, I'm obsessed with email lists. I'm interested in them. I don't want you to reveal anything that would, compromise the company, obviously. But I am curious about, as I saw there was a way to get me onto your list, and you're talking about your list on your social media. But it seems like it must be hard to get people to open emails from a stationary company. That must be a very low priority email. But I'm just guessing. What kind of success do you have in that area?
So, I mean, we do great with our email list. It's probably not as big as it should be because we weren't always that good about, for the first years of the company, probably being aggressive enough about trying to get people on it. But it's a great list. It's not, I don't think that hard to get people to open ours because they always look really beautiful and they're a lot of fun and we do great copy. So I think it's just a matter of you have to make it. You make it something they enjoy. It's not just trying to hawk our stuff all the time, right? It's cute, it's funny, it's fun, and then also we bring them value, right? So if we're sending an email, it's about something new we're doing, or it's a sale we're running, or something. It's worth their time to open it. So yeah, we do really well with it. I think any brand, their email list is an important part of their marketing strategy.
Do you have people whose full-time job it is to do the email and the social media for you?
Yeah, we have a marketing team, and that's not all they do, but that's definitely a big part of it. They sort of manage the website and the social media and the emails and also stuff for our wholesale team, So yeah, that's real, and any online advertising and stuff like that.
I was reading an article about you, and there was this interesting statement you made. You said, when we're looking to develop a product, we'll pick a retail price range before we know anything about the production costs. I'd like you to elaborate on that because I found that interesting and surprising.
Well, it's just a matter of, it's just a target. Obviously, it's not necessarily doable. But anytime we're thinking about a category or something new to get into, we're immediately thinking about price points. It's one of the first things we're saying. Well, how does that fit into our other products and our other price points? And will our retail, we're in a very price sensitive kind of market, even though we're considered not a high end brand, but a little bit on the higher side of our within our categories or upscale ish, although accessible. But we're a gift brand really, right? Our core business is gift. We do wallpaper, we do fabric, we do, we're going to be doing shoes. So we do fashion stuff, bags, but really our core business, a lot of that is licenses to other brands. So our core business is gift, and gift is always going to be price sensitive because people, when they're buying gifts or, they want something under $20 or something under $30 or some, that sort of thing. So it just ends up being a fairly price sensitive world. So we have to really take it seriously. So, for instance, if we're thinking of doing something in hydration or a water bottle or something, we're going to immediately, obviously, dream up what do we want our water bottle to be, who do we want to work with, how would Rifle do a water bottle? But then we're talking immediately about what would we want it to cost. And then we, as we go sourcing it and trying to find the right partner or factory or whatever it is to do the water bottle, we have a target in mind and we're working with them to try to see how we can get what we want at the price we want. So, the goal is to bring value to the customer and make it easy for them to pick it up. It's not just about trying to get as much as you can out of it. Really, you have more success, you sell more units if you're bringing value as well. So does that make sense? Did that help?
Yeah, it does. It does. Now, I also want to ask about, how many countries are selling your products?
I think that I read, that's a stat I should know off the top of my head. I think it's a whole lot.
It's more than, is it more than several dozen at least? It's at least several dozen.
Yeah. I mean, we might have our products in, 50 countries, but where we have strong distributors, they're going to be all the major markets. So that's what I can, for instance, across the EU, the UK, obviously, Australia, Japan, China, Singapore. These are the, Canada, obviously. These are our core markets. But yeah, I mean, you can find our stuff kind of all over the world. I just don't have that number on the top of my head. It's just because sometimes it's just literally a store that emails us and going, hey, we'd like to carry you in this, whatever country it is. And sure, we'll ship to you.
How significant a part of your business is sales internationally?
It's significant, but it's dwarfed by the U.S. Just completely dwarfed. In fact, way more than it should be. That's mostly due to tariffs, I think, to be honest. Because the main reason our product doesn't have the volume, for instance, in the UK that it could have, that it has here, is because it's just priced. We're just so much more expensive there than we are here. And, that has something to do with freight, but not as much as you might think. Freight isn't really that expensive. It doesn't kill you. It really is more about tariff and import and VAT and all of that. So we see that all over the world. And then, of course, right now the dollar is strong. So that has an impact on our export business. It's actually had a huge import on our export business over the last year, especially everybody, all our distributors were begging for bigger discounts because of how difficult it was because the dollar was strong. So, it's just a lot of that. But I think that's the main reason it's not bigger. I mean, Canada is right here. There's no reason why Canada, I mean, it's a smaller market in general, Canada, the US, but there's still a lot of people that live there. And proportionally, it's nowhere close, even population to population. But the culture is similar. They have great markets, but it's because of, its price and trade and all of that actually does have a pretty big impact on foreign business.
I want to get advice from you in a minute that you'd give to other people. But before that, you work with your wife, and of course you do totally different things in a sense. I mean, she's doing design work, and I don't know how good you are at that, but I certainly am not any good at that. I wouldn't want to be anywhere within a million miles of that. I know something that looks nice, but I can't create anything like that. I don't have any of those skills. So is it that she does the design and you're running the business end of things, or is that too simplistic? And the second thing is, do you see each other all day long, and does that drive you crazy? I think a lot of people would ask that.
Yeah, those are great questions. So the first one, it is too simplistic. Anna is our brilliant creative director. She is the heart and soul of the brand. She's the reason we've had the success we've had. She's just a brilliant creative mind, but she's also an incredible businesswoman. She has, this sort of knack for understanding our customers, seeing opportunities. And, honestly, both of us, when we started the company, had very clear kind of motivations for what we were doing with the company. A lot of creative brands, I think, maybe sometimes lack a little business direction, you might say. Whereas we've never shied away from the idea that profit is a cornerstone of what we're doing. It's the only thing that we care about, but it's certainly something that grounds us into the types of decisions we're going to make and what categories we're going to go into. And we're not going to just make this a project for our own pleasure and ego. There's a real purpose for what we're doing. We really care about bringing value to our customers and getting them things that they really want and or need. So that actually, as basic as that sounds, because I know that's really pretty much, business 101. It's actually not what a lot of companies oftentimes do. And we were also of the mindset early on, we want to be productive from the beginning. We don't want to just throw a bunch of money at this thing and hope it eventually will catch up to our sales and make a return. We were sort of, if we're going to be able to grow, we need to be profitable right away to help us fund our growth. So that's why we did it without any, we did it without bringing on any investment. But, that's her too, right? So her and I are very aligned in that way. We're both excited about growing a business and being successful and, giving our retailers a product they can count on is going to sell well. There's nothing bigger bummer to us than when we make something that is just awesome, that we love, and it doesn't do excellent for our retailers. That's obvious. That's, that because it's all about them. So I think that's a big part of it. She's got a really great marketing mind. She's the reason our social media is big is because she was on top of it from the beginning. She was running our Instagram and really picking up a following there. So I do want to say that. And then on the other side, it's not that I'm uninvolved with creative. I'm not a designer at all. I have no skills whatsoever. But, Anna, we talk about we talk about design together. We talk about the products we're doing. I know the brand inside out. I've been here since the very beginning. In some sense, Anna and I always worked together in a creative capacity because when I was a musician, she did the art for our albums. So we already kind of had that creative relationship. But I mean, I can't take hardly any credit, but I am sort of involved at least on the, I don't know, on the outer shell of it. I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't come up with a good metaphor there. But my primary duties are more on, building partnerships and relationships with other businesses and sales and logistics and just overall business management of our teams. So there is a big separation between what we're doing, but there's a lot of overlap too. And then as far as working together, yeah, we do see each other a lot. We do work together often, although it's separate enough that we're not always working together, which is nice. And yeah, sometimes we do drive each other a little bit crazy. It does happen, but it's so worth it. I mean, it's not, most of the time we're not driving each other crazy. It's really rewarding and fun. And I think that one of the best things about your business partner being your wife is your interests are always 100% aligned. So you have the same goals, same motivations, even in your personal life, your home life versus your work life. I never have to worry about her surprising me one day, with weird news that I'm not expecting, right? There's a sense in which we're sort of a total team from beginning to end. That's really a beautiful thing, to be honest. That's my favorite thing about what we do. So, yeah.
Your story, as I said, when you Google your name and you find all these great articles by these major outlets that are very, very impressed with what you're doing, you make it look so easy. I think if people hear your story, they say, this guy makes it look so easy. He doesn't have the story that we hear so often, that I struggled and struggled for years and I finally was able to build up this business and make it work. No, I mean, look, you had that hiccup at the beginning, but it looks like you just decided to start a business. You did it. It's super successful, and it's almost like you wouldn't know how not to run a successful business. So given your experience, do you think you can give people advice other than just go out there and do it and somehow it works? And by the way, yeah. I don't say that to make it sound like you didn't know what you're doing. It's that it worked so beautifully for you. Your instincts were so good already. Yeah. I'm sure you don't have a business degree, right?
No, I don't even have a college degree. I dropped out to go.
Oh, see, even better. Come on. Even better. So you knew how to make it work. You just knew it. And I'm not sure it is something teachable. So then how do you give advice?
Well, let me say this. So I actually think that I learned those lessons when I was a musician. So that was, 4 or 5 years of my life trying to make money as a musician. So I always say that if you can figure out how to make money as a musician, you can figure out how to make money doing anything. So I actually do think that I learned a lot of those hard lessons about business early on there and took that into my business. So that was essentially my business degree. So yeah, I do think I can give advice because I've made a lot of mistakes. I just think when we got to Rifle, we corrected a lot of those things and went in the right way. Now, that being said, it also was determination. We were working 80 hours a week when we launched. And I mean, when I say that, I mean for years, couple of years. Anna, really, my wife, still works way too much. And up until probably the last couple of years was still working basically 7 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day. So, it takes an extreme amount of dedication and belief in what you're doing to run a company growing at our rate. But yeah, I do actually think that I did need to kind of go through the slog as well. It's just mine came as a musician, not as a stationer.
Well, when you talk about the rate of your growth, I think that's one of the things that's measured by the Inc. 5000, which I think you've been in. Can you say something about that? Because I'm so out of this world that I didn't know what that was till I was reading about you.
Yeah, so that we were on the Inc. 500, I guess, 3 years ago for the first time, and that's, I guess, it's the fastest growing privately held companies in the country. We were when we were 353rd when we were the highest on that list, and it's a percentage growth. So as you get bigger, it becomes a little bit more difficult to be higher on the list because obviously, even if your sales are still moving aggressively, a percentage of when you're 0 to,
Right. So it's hard to maintain this in perpetuity.
That's right. But we were 353rd on the list, which I'm very proud of. It's one of the things I'm most proud of. And I think I don't know, I don't remember, I shouldn't say, but we were, in the state of Florida, I think we were in the top 30, maybe even more better. So that was pretty neat. So yeah, we were really growing really fast. And the second year the year after that, we weren't on the 500 anymore, but we were still on the 5,000 and just missed the 500. And the next year we were on it too. So so we've grown really fast. I mean, 7 years, and this past year we did over 21 million in revenue. So that's that's a lot without having seed funding or having a private equity fund.
Right. Yeah, so, that's amazing.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. I always wonder about almost anything like what you're doing. I wonder about profit margins, and are they razor thin, and what's my competition like? The nice thing about what you're doing is, of course, there's competition in the raw sense that there are other stationery companies, but there's nobody doing precisely what you're doing. So in a way, it's not a very good analogy to me because there aren't that many people making libertarian courses, but if they are, they're not Tom Woods making the course. So I mean, there's always some little you that you can put in there that's different from everybody else.
Sure, and that you for us is, to be honest, it's our look. So we have, and also the fact that now the brand name means something. So it's a lifestyle brand. It's sort of it's what it's become. Sort of a very early, very tiny version of Kate Spade or something. Obviously, they got their start in fashion, and we got our start in stationery and gift. But they do stationery and gift, and we do fashion. Obviously we're an ant compared to them, but it's that same sort of idea. You're creating an ethos. You're creating a world for people to enter into. Our retail store is this tiny little 300 square foot store in Winter Park, Florida right now, but it does extremely well because people that are coming to, Disney World or coming to on vacation, a lot of them are big fans. They want to come experience, they want to walk into a world of us. So we're really excited about the possibilities of eventually doing more stores that are larger format than what we have now, and actually making that a little bit more, making that the vision even more apparent. But yeah, I think that's really what it is, and you have a particular voice, and you give people, I don't know, something to enjoy. It's fun to do something that people just enjoy, right? It adds something to their life. They have we're going to do mugs, for instance, and people like to have a lovely looking mug, that they, every morning, that's their nice mug. I have one, that I really like, so it's just, I don't know, it's fun to be a part of just the little things in someone's life.
Well, I'm really grateful, first of all, to have gotten to know you, and then to have had a chance to read about and now hear your story. Next time I'm in Winter Park, I'm going to have to make sure and get there before it's super dark so that I can actually go into the store, which I have not yet done. I got to spend more time in Winter Park in general. I think that's my New Year's resolution, belated New Year's resolution for 2017.
It's a great place.
Yeah, it's a beauty. It really is. Just walking around there, I thought, yeah, I'd like to be here a lot more. So anyway, I'll look into doing that. But the key thing is, if people want to find out now more about you and the company, what is the website?
So it's riflepaperco.com, and that's really that'll give you everything you need.
That is great. That is great. Well, listen, not only should you go there, hop on their email list. Why not? Because I bet you're going to see some emails from people who know what they're doing, and you can always learn from that. You may enjoy them too. So anyway, check it out. Nathan, congratulations on your success. I hope it just keeps on going. I hope you defy the odds and somehow manage to keep the rate of growth so high that the ink people just don't know what to do with you after a while. Anyway, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Tom. Really appreciate it.
All right, that's going to do it for today. Coming up this week, that weasel Michael Malice is back on the show, so lots of fun to be had. Thanks for listening.
Become a smarter libertarian in just 30 minutes a day. Visit TomWoods.com to subscribe to the show for free, and we'll see you next time.